Welcome to the Espresso with Omar Podcast. I am your host, Omar, and today I have one goal in mind, and that is to give you an espresso shot of motivation for your day, for your morning, and for your week. And if you're listening to this podcast today, I am flexing into the camera for the only reason that today's topic is bodybuilders and home flippers. What do they have in common, and how does that relate to short-term thinking versus long-term thinking? Stay tuned. One of the most common conversations that I have with some of my clients that come in that have goals of weight loss and adding muscle mass is short-term versus long-term thinking and planning. I had a potential client call me one time, and I did a screening over the phone like I normally do. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What is the reason? What's motivating you in making this new change in your life? And this individual was very honest with me and said, I want to lose a set amount of pounds for a wedding that I want to go in 2 months. My initial reaction was just to turn her away and say, thank you for thinking of me as a potential personal trainer for you, but I don't work with people who have very short-term thinking goals or short-term plans, like losing a lot of weight in 2 to 3 months, for the simple reason that, one, I don't think that that is a healthy approach to getting into a better health life or becoming more fit or becoming healthy. And number two, you will be very disappointed when you realize that actually accomplishing that goal in 2 to 3 months is extremely difficult. And what it's going to do, it's going to create a negative relationship with you and the health and fitness world. And the last thing I want to do is push people away from the health and fitness world. I want to bring people into the health and fitness world. So if you have a long-term goal at some point, think of me, but short-term planning, I'm not your guy. This is a constant conversation that I have with current clients because it's very easy to think, well, if I just lock in for 2 months, I'm going to hit my long-term goal. It's a beautiful thing to lock in for a few months and have a cut season, a bulk season, do all of those beautiful things. But we want to remain in long-term thinking mode. So we're going to have this conversation today by looking at the world of real estate and the world of bodybuilding and comparing them to understand differences between short-term thinking and long-term thinking. So the sport of bodybuilding is like home flippers in the world of real estate. I love this analogy. I love this comparison because it really highlights what their goals are and how they really align. So if you know anything about the world of real estate, you know that there are such things as home flippers, and home flippers primarily what their goals are is to find a home that's a little run down, but that it's still in really good function overall, and make it very pretty externally, maybe add a new fresh coat of paint, maybe add a new floor, maybe add a new kitchen counter, maybe add a new bathroom, something very quick that is going to be able to sell on the market for more than what they bought it for before some of the renovations, and make a profit. So home flippers, by definition, have a timeline of anywhere between 3 to 6 months to maybe a year. And I think that's maybe on the upper end. If you're a home flipper watching this, you can correct me if I'm wrong about the timeline. But for the most part, a home flipper is thinking 3 6 months timeline. So kind of short term timeline. And their focus is really externally based. They want to make sure that the house looks very pretty and very presentable so that when they're selling it to potential clients or potential customers or potential buyers, they are seeing how pretty this house looks, how nice the fresh coat of paint looks, how nice the floor looks. And they're really focusing on just making it very pretty on the outside. They're not doing any deep work. They're not going into the plumbing system, into the electrical systems. They're not looking into the foundation. They're not looking to add on. They're just looking at how to make it externally pleasant to make a sale. The other thing that they're doing is they're having a very high risk to high reward game here, right? It's a very high risk to buy a house with someone else's money, because usually home flippers are taking other people's money, usually investors, and investing it into a property for a short amount of time because their goal is to flip it. And they're going to put all this money into this land, into this house, and they're going to make these small changes, these external based changes in that short amount of time, with the plan to have a buyer buy in 6 months to a year, like I said, max. That's a high risk, high reward game, because a lot of things can go wrong. You find out that the house actually has some deep problems and it's not sellable. So now you're stuck with this property that you thought you were going to flip, and you have to maintain the mortgage, the investor's money is in there, and you start to lose money. So it's a high risk, high reward game, because once you do flip it, if you flip it on the timeline that you had with the investor's money, you actually end up getting a profit for yourself, a profit for your investors, and it's a really good high reward game with a very high risk. So large investments to obtain a larger reward. Bodybuilding, the sport, the competitive sport, is so similar to this, and I love it. A bodybuilder, when they're going to compete and they want to compete professionally, they start their season and it's usually a 6 months phase, right? They're usually been lifting for a long time. They're fit, right? We're talking about the professional sport here, but then they take 3 to 6 months to get in the best lean conditioning shape they can. So if they're taking their cycles, right, their steroid cycles, they're going to really pack on some muscle and get super lean so that they look wonderful at the end of the year or whenever their competition is. So again, their timeline is anywhere between 3, 6, 9 month cycle that they're going to get into top peak performance shape. And their focus, once again, like the home flippers, is externally based. So their internal organs, a lot of times, are pretty beat up. And this is a common conversation that's being had in the bodybuilding world, because a lot of bodybuilders have a high risk, high reward game that they play. They're going to stack all these supplements into their body in these 3 to 6, 9 months windows to look as amazing as they can on stage, right? So they need to be physically in top performance shape. It's an external focus. Once again, it's an external focus so that they can have a high reward by winning the competition. They're taking what you can call investors' money, but they're taking sponsorships. You have brands that are sponsoring them. They're making deals with hope that they're going to get on stage and look amazing and win and make profit for their brands, profit for themselves. High risk, high reward game, short timeline. The focus is external. So let's compare that one more time. We have home flippers and bodybuilders at the professional level. Their timeline is 3 to 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. Their focus is primarily external. They're not thinking about the internal damage or the internal things that they have to worry about. It's mostly external. And their decision making is a really high risk, high reward game. And then there's home owners and you and I. A homeowner, their timeline is usually something like this. They start to save up a lot of money, a lot of capital, a lot of cash, usually their own. And they start to really work on paying off their debt to improve their credit score, because they need to be approved for a loan to be able to buy a home. They start to save a lot of capital for their down payment, which, if you've looked at the market really in anywhere in the US, but if you look at the markets in the big cities like LA, New York, that's a big chunk of change that you need to put together to drop a good down payment to get a house. So your credit score needs to look good. Your capital needs to be high for the down payment. So you start to save, you start to strategize, and you start to really try to build yourself some good capital and good credit score. So just right there from the jump, the timeline is not 3 to 6 months. This can take years for someone to put together a 20, a 30, a 40, a $50,000 deposit and improve their credit score to top notch, usually with another person, usually their intimate partners, so that they can be approved for a mortgage with low interest on a home. And their focus is a little different. They're looking for a house that maybe is not as externally attractive, but is internally intact. It has no mold, it has no termites, it has good plumbing, it has good electrical, it has a strong foundation. It's been built not too old, it's been built not too long ago, but relatively recent, and that you can actually build some stuff on that property in case that you want to add or do something else after. So even the focus is very foundational. It's very deeply focused, not externally focused. Externally, it's not really that big deal. You might get a rundown house that has a really good foundation at a good price. So timeline is a little bit different and focus is a little bit different. Actually, dramatically different. And the decision making is a little bit different. It's not high risk, high reward. It's more low risk. You want to find something that's actually a little bit low risk. And the reward isn't all that great at first. It's more in the long term, in the long run, you build some equity that then you can play with. So it's a low risk, low reward at first, high reward later kind of decision making process. So you get that, right? You get your $50,000 down payment. You get your credit score really high. You find yourself a rundown, kind of beat up external house with a strong foundation and a lot of potential, and you go in and you buy it. Well, then you repeat the cycle. You got to save money again because you just dropped $50,000, so you got to reload your bank account. You try to keep your credit score as high as possible, making your payments on the mortgage, and then maybe in a couple years, a few years after owning this home, you realize that you have some pocket change that you could play with. Your credit is still high. You have some equity, so then you go, maybe I should redo the bathrooms. Maybe I should add a lawn. Maybe I should work on the windows. Maybe I should work on the front yard. So you take your newly saved up cash, maybe some of your equity, and you decide to redo the bathrooms, to add a new flooring, to change the windows, and it looks nice. 3 years in, okay, you do that and that takes work, right? That costs money, it's labor. And now you have new windows, you have new bathrooms, and then you do it again. You save money again. You're back to saving, making sure your mortgage payments are being done on time. And you do this again. Maybe this time you want to work on the backyard, on the patio, on the front yard, on the roof. Maybe you want to work on the garage, and you take your savings once again that you saved over time in the last 2, 3, 4 years, and then you reinvest it in the home. And then one day, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years down the line, you invite some friends over, you invite family over into your home for a dinner, for a party, holiday gathering, and people are astonished. Oh my God, your home is beautiful. This is an incredible house. Your bathrooms are beautiful. Your front yard is incredible. Your patio is amazing. Your floor is so beautiful. Oh my God, how did you do this? Oh, I want a house just like this one day. What they don't know is that this has been a 10, 12, 15-year process where your timeline was always long term, where your focus was always foundational, and your decision making was low risk, high reward in the long run approach. When you look at people like you and I in the health and fitness world, we don't want to be bodybuilder home flippers. We want to be home owners. You only have one body. This is your one body. You have it. So you want to take that same approach as the homeowner. You go, okay, I'm setting some time to go to the gym and train. For this upcoming season, for this upcoming year, I'm going to focus on improving my cardio. I have really bad cardio, so I'm going to just focus on cardio for maybe a few months, maybe a year, really get myself up to being able to run a few miles if I want to just go run. And that's going to be my focus. And then maybe after you really build your cardio, you've been doing that for a while, you go, I really need to grow my shoulders. My arms are kind of small. I don't have a lot of upper body strength. So for the next few years, I'm going to maintain my cardio nice and high, how I've been doing. But I'm also going to be hitting some chest. I'm going to be hitting some shoulders, some upper back, some arms for maybe the next 2 years to really grow my upper body and grow my strength in the upper body. So you do that for a couple years and you develop a really good chest. You develop some good shoulders. You develop some good biceps, some good triceps. And then you go, well, I've been doing cardio for a while. My upper body is looking strong and good, but my legs, all this running and all this cardio and all this focus on my upper body, they're kind of weak. And I'm going to focus on them a little bit for the next year or so. So then you take another cycle in your life and you really start hitting some squats, hitting some lunges, hitting some leg presses, some hawk squats, maybe doing some really intense lower body workouts, maybe some glutes, maybe some hip thrusts. Maybe you're like, I really got to work on my glutes. They're a little small. So you start to work on those and you do that for maybe a couple years. And then you go, my mobility is a little bit, it's a little trash. I can't really move that much. So I'm going to work on my mobility now. So you maintain your cardio, your upper body's strong, your lower body is strong, and you got a nice pump in the back, and you're looking good, nice little dump truck. So now you're going to work on your mobility. So you take 2 years of your life, another season, and you really nail down on yoga and Pilates and stretching and mobility movements. And then one day you invite somebody to work out with you, or you go to a party and someone goes, you look incredible. Oh my God, you're so fit. You're so healthy. How did you do it? Oh my God, I want to look just like you. And what they don't understand is that this wasn't an overnight thing. This wasn't a 3 months process. This wasn't even a 6 months process. This has been years and years of repeating the same system. Your timeline was always to strategize ahead. Your focus was always foundational, and your decision making was low risk to high reward in the long term game. Home flippers and professional bodybuilders are short term thinkers, externally focused, high risk, high reward gains. But you and I, we want to be like home owners in the gym. We want to build with strategy in a long term strategy way. And we want to have a foundational focus. And then your decision making is low risk to high reward later. When you start to shift your mindset from home flipper to home owner on your health and fitness journey, you start to realize that this is not a 3 months to 6 months game. This is years and years of repeating that same system and cycle of strategizing, focusing on foundation, and really having a low risk, not doing anything that's going to hurt your body, that's going to keep you out of the gym, but it's going to keep you in the gym and in a healthier life for a longer period of time. People will sometimes only see the result. They're only going to see how beautiful your house looks, how beautiful your home is. Oh my God, how awesome your body is. Your ability to do all these different workouts are great, but it's the habits that you've stacked over time with a long-term approach, a low risk to high reward in the long run game with a foundational focus that allows for you to build on yourself over years of time, not months. So if you remember anything from this episode, it's don't be a home flipper or a bodybuilder in your journey of life or whatever you want to accomplish. Think like a homeowner. Think like a person that wants to stack over time and repeat the cycle and be strategic in the long run so that then people that you come in contact in life are going to notice it over time. And you can then tell them the same thing. It's not about 3 months. It's not about 6 months. It's not even about a year. It's about doing a little bit every day for years and years and years so you can get those rewards in the long run. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Omar, and this is Espresso with Omar Podcast. I am really, really grateful and appreciative for you joining and listening to this episode. And let's keep this energy going of thinking long term, of being foundational in our thinking and our strategizing so that we can make gains over time and not think that things are going to come in 3 to 6 months. Thank you very much.